So hello everyone. So I'm Antoine. I'm a principal engineer working at Amadeus, and so today I'm here to present you basically what's new in Perses. So for those who were here last year, so I presented the dashboard as code framework of Perses at this same event last year, 2024. And yeah, so this session will be more around the new features, not specifically around dashboard as code, but about Perses in general that were released since this event. So let's go first with an introduction for those who are not aware of what Perses is, just in case. So Perses, it's basically an observability visualization tool. Sorry. So you can see it as an alternative to Grafana. It's really purely for visualizing observability data, not to store them. So it's an Apache 2 license project, and it's part of the CNCF since 1 year approximately now in the sandbox stage. So this is actively contributed to by several companies like Amadeus, which I'm from, Red Hat, and SAP. And these companies also, just to mention it, are part also of the rescue program. So it's a European Union program to build a sovereign cloud for Europe. And so among many other things, Perses is part of the projects that are funded by this organization. And last point, so the project is getting more and more popular. So at the Open Observability Days of last year, the amount of stars was like 800 and 800. So it's twice the amount now. So that's quite nice. And yeah, so now jumping to what's new since approximately 1 year. So first, most important point, we have released a new plugin architecture. So it was really our biggest release until now. It was a big revamp. And because, so we already supported plugins before. So plugins for Perses, basically, it's anything that relates to the data sources or the types of visualization to display the data. So it could be, for example, all the charts, etc. So these are all plugins, and before they were quite intricated with the, let's say, the core source code of Perses, and now it's fully externalized, which means that we really enable the use case of private plugins. So to let's say to work with a custom data source from your own company that should not be made public, and also on the public aspect, it's much more convenient now, especially with the utilities we provide through our CLI to develop new plugins. And so basically, since this plugin architecture was released, we really see a good momentum around the amount of new plugins that get implemented to enrich the Perses ecosystem. And so we're ready to continue on this topic. So we support more data sources than before. So historically, we supported only Prometheus as a metrics data source and Tempo as a tracing data source. And now we are supporting Loki for logs and Pyroscope for profiling. Yeah, so thanks to that, so we have now Perses at least support one data source of each, let's say, pillar of observability. And again, so we didn't stop here. So thanks to the architecture, we had some people really from the community here. It was fully a community development, delivering a ClickHouse plugin, and also which is part of the latest release, and Victoria Metrics that was just merged and will be part of the next release. And also, this time on the visualization side, so we had more new plugins delivered on this side too. So status history chart, also a histogram, which by the way, for now is only compatible with the native histograms from Prometheus, not the classic ones, but this is something we are working on. And also heat map, to also display histogram data. So now to talk a bit more about the Prometheus case specifically. So historically, this is the first data source we supported, and we really wanted still to be, let's say, a first-class citizen for, let's say, in Perses. So you may be aware, but basically Prometheus released their 3.0 version last year, and that included a revamp of their UI, including neat features coming from the PromLens project. Basically, there is a brand new PromQL tree view display and also an explore view. And this is something we wanted to include as is in Perses to really have the same UX. So for people that are familiar with the Prometheus UI, to have the same experience in Perses, because we really think that these new features are really great. So here you see the PromQL tree view in Perses. So yeah, if you know the one in Prometheus, it's really similar. So yeah, just to mention, since for example in Perses we are supporting variables, what you can see in the first part of the screenshot. In the tree view, the variables are correctly interpolated to their final value. So this really enables you to debug your PromQL and to find any error. And I mentioned it also, so the explore view from Prometheus was implemented also as is in Perses. Next topic, dashboard as code. So again, the talk I gave last year was dedicated to this topic. So here I just want to talk about the new things that came around this dashboard as code since last year. So we had many contributions to a new repo, part of the Perses organization, which is community dashboards. So basically it's mostly people from Red Hat that used the Golang SDK of Perses to develop many dashboards. So you can see here, so we have dashboards to display data from Alert Manager, Node Exporter, Thanos, etc. So these dashboards as code, you can either, let's say, run some function to with some parameters to render a final JSON that you will use on your side. But again, also dashboard as code really enables you to, let's say, inherit or reuse the code, which is the main intent of this framework. So here, if you want to build your own Kubernetes dashboard, for instance, you can import this library and just tune the part you would like to change. And also, so based on the CLI we provide, we release the standard workflow. So if you are using GitHub Action for your automations, so to work with dashboard as code, it's quite easy to just rely on this standard workflow, because so by doing so, in your dashboard as code repo, the day let's say you open a pull request to change some dashboards, this standard workflow will trigger some stages. So it will build, validate your dashboard. It will generate previews on your Perses instance, and also it will provide you the complete diff, the final diff. I mean the JSON diff, not the code diff, because this you already have it with Git. And once you merge your pull request on your default branch, it builds and validates, and it deploys the dashboards to your instance. So if you want to do some things custom, or you are using another technology like GitHub Action, for example, Jenkins, you would have to build your own automation. But again, also, so what we did is built on top of the CLI, Perses CLI, and it's doing most of the job. So building an automation on top of the CLI is quite easy. Another topic, custom lint rules. So this is something that you can, configuration that you can provide on the server side to enforce, let's say, additional conventions, rules, etc., to validate the dashboards that are getting saved or updated. So for example, if in your company, if you have some Yeah, so some naming conventions you want to enforce are some good practices. Like, for example, in our case, we want people to provide an info panel at the beginning of their dashboard to tell about what is the team responsible of the dashboard. So basically the point of contact to reach out in case of issue with the dashboard. This is something that you can enforce using these custom lint rules. Yeah, we have also the Perses MCP server that was released earlier, I think this summer. So for now, it's not able, for example, to create complex dashboards, etc. So in terms of dashboard creation, it's still something that is getting developed. But yeah, so you can start creating basic stuff, and you can also query it to ask it like where can I see this kind of data, for instance. So yeah, that's a good start. And yeah, we have more features that I will mention quickly here. So we have the data source variable plugin, which is a quite also important use case. So to be able to have a dynamic list of data source on your dashboard. So your let's say on the same dashboard, you will be able to display data from different data source easily. We have the option to repeat a given group of panels based on a variable. So yeah, so if, let's say you have a different Kubernetes cluster, for instance, you can have really select for example, the three of them, and it would display the data for all of these clusters on the same page. It will repeat the panel group by providing this cluster information as a parameter. We have made significant improvements to the table panel to support more customizations because this one, yeah, particularly needed it. So it could be settings to define at column level or even at cell level, transformations also. And also on this same aspect, a lot of improvements have been done on the tracing visualization. So to the different plugins, visualization plugin we have to display traces. So to improve especially the navigation between the different data, the spans, etc. We have improved the process of Grafana migration. So this is a feature we provide since quite some time, but yeah, we have made significant performance improvement to it, and also based on the, let's say, the new customizations, etc. we support now on Perses, we have also improved the translation process. So more settings, more of your Grafana dashboard gets converted to Perses appropriately. And finally, so not really a feature, but just to mention because it's quite important too. So the documentation website for Perses has been improved a lot also, and we have added quite some documentation for all the different features aspects of Perses, etc. And to talk a bit more to finish on that about what's next for Perses. So the next big topic it's to implement a marketplace. So what you see here is a mock-up of what we want to provide. So this would be basically a new website where you would go to search for dashboards, plugins, or any kind of objects or community contribution around Perses. Because yeah, so again we want the community to contribute to the, let's say, the official dashboards and official plugins that we maintain as part of the Perses organization. But the goal is also to, here on this marketplace, to reference, let's say, any plugin, dashboard as code library, or dashboard that the community would have made on, let's say, other places. And of course, yeah, so again, we have really seen a nice acceleration in terms of plugins delivered since the new plugin architecture was released, and we really want to keep this momentum. So yeah, so expect that in in one more year there will be again more plugins available. And that's basically it for this presentation. So I'm leaving leaving you here some links. So the link to the Perses website, the documentation website first, and the repository, of course. You have also some social media links, so LinkedIn and X. The Slack channel, if you want to reach out to us, if you have any question or issue to raise before creating a ticket on GitHub. And final link, it's a talk I gave with a colleague from Coralogics earlier this year at the KubeCon Europe. So this session has the talk I gave to the Open Observability Days of last year is dedicated to dashboard as code, and especially the Golang SDK. But we really have made a, let's say, live demo of the SDK at this conference. So if you're interested, especially in dashboard as code and the Golang SDK, I invite you to check the recording. Thank you for your attention.